Imagine joining a school sports team. Suddenly, you feel your team deserves every win and every benefit. Psychologists call this in-group favoritism, Tajfel and Turner, 1979. According to social identity theory, we naturally prefer people from our own groups because these memberships boost our self-esteem. For instance, Tajfel's minimal group studies showed that people randomly assigned to trivial groups quickly favored their own groups by awarding them more resources. Tajfel et al., 1971. In daily life, this might mean giving a friend opportunities or trust simply because they're one of us. 2. Group acceptance and self-identity. Getting accepted by a group strongly shapes how we see ourselves. Think about a student who makes the varsity team. Now accepted by teammates, they start calling themselves a real athlete, wearing the team jacket with pride, and their self-esteem rises. Social identity theory says our groups become part of who we are, fulfilling our need to belong. Tajfel and Turner, 1979. Like fans who say, "We won," after their team's victory, inclusion in a group strengthens our self-identity and confidence. Cialdini et al., 1976. Top 3. Conforming to group norms. When we value group membership, we naturally follow that group's norms. A new teammate might adopt the team's slang, clothes, or practice habits because that's how our team does it. We conform partly to fit in, but also because we adopt the group's values as our own identity. Hogg and Reed, 2006. Simply put, once we identify strongly with a team, we willingly follow its unwritten rules, reinforcing our sense of belonging. 4. Inadvertent prejudice from group loyalty. Strong group loyalty sometimes creates unintended prejudice toward outsiders. For example, athletes might start stereotyping rival teams as less skilled or less worthy without realizing it. Social identity theory suggests that by elevating us, we unintentionally diminish them. Tajfel and Turner, 1979. This prejudice often appears subtly, excluding outsiders from conversations or assuming negative traits about them. Brewer, 1999, calls this in-group love, which can quietly lead to out-group dislike. Essentially, tight-knit pride might unknowingly cause unfair biases toward those outside our group. Set 5. Costs and benefits of social categorization. We naturally divide the social world into us and them. This process helps us simplify our surroundings, giving structure and a sense of belonging. For instance, identifying as an athlete provides clear roles and a supportive group, creating camaraderie. Yet categorization also has drawbacks. We tend to exaggerate group differences and assume outsiders are all alike, known as the outgroup homogeneity effect, which fosters misunderstandings and prejudice. Allport, 1954, noted categorization can lead to major errors when we generalize traits unfairly. Labeling people as athletes versus non-athletes builds team spirit but can also create school cliques and mistrust. Categorization is therefore helpful but also risky. It builds identity and order, but can also create division if unchecked. Ser 6. Stereotypical assumptions and worldview. Even subtle stereotypes affect how we see the world. For example, assuming an Asian American student excels at math or expecting older adults to struggle with technology are stereotypes that filter our interactions. Our brains use stereotypes as mental shortcuts, called implicit biases, meaning even well-intentioned people make quick judgments shaped by cultural stereotypes. Greenwald and Banerjee, 1995. Devine, 1989. A teacher might unknowingly ask a black student more about sports, or feel surprised when an older person is tech-savvy. Such subtle biases shape our interactions and decisions. By becoming aware of these assumptions, we can strive to see people clearly and fairly, based on individual qualities rather than stereotypes. Ser 7. Social identity theory, strengths and limitations for DEI. Social identity theory offers important insights for improving diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, but it also has limitations. First, ST helps us understand how biases emerge naturally from group thinking. Knowing favoritism toward us versus them is a normal psychological process, encourages empathy, and guides effective interventions. For example, organizations use CT principles to foster a common, inclusive identity, helping employees view themselves as one united group instead of divided subgroups. Gertner and DeVideo, 2000. SET also highlights how positive group identities improve is that it might reinforce these improved is that it might reinforce us versus them mindsets if applied. Sometimes increase perceptions of division. Additionally, CIT doesn't fully address power imbalances or structural inequalities between groups, factors crucial to real-world DEI efforts. Sidanius and Prado, 1999. Our identities are also complex, overlapping in ethnicity, gender, or profession. CIT alone doesn't explain how these intersecting identities interact in experiences of inclusion or exclusion. For effective DEI progress, we must combine CIT insights with other strategies like empathy building, intergroup contact, and policy adjustments. In conclusion, social identity theory is valuable for recognizing the psychological roots of bias and belonging. It helps us design effective interventions and inclusive identities. But applying it effectively requires recognizing its limits and pairing it with comprehensive strategies for lasting diversity, equity, and inclusion. References: APA 7th ed.